Hey guys, I'm starting a new series every Tuesday where I throw in my 2 cents about creepypastas. I will talk about 6 pastas a week, and let me explain how it's going to work. For today, I'm going to be reading out the pastas Tags, Follow the Leader, and Pillars. From that point on, I'm going to read out 2 pastas going backwards from those pastas, and 1 pasta going ahead of those pastas. And normally for the other 3, I'd be doing the 3 current pastas that Mr. Creepypasta reads out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. However, for the entire month of August, he's going to be reading out Chilling Tales for the Dark Night stories opposed to creepypastas. So in the meantime, I'm going to wind the clock back by about 15 days and talk about the creepypastas he read before that. Make sense? No? Well, just go with it. Just keep in mind, just because I'm using Mr. Creepypasta as an order of events to talk about these pastas, I'm not basing any of these pastas based on how he reads them or any aesthetics presented in the video. I'm solely basing everything on the writing presented in the actual original story. Also, I'd like to note that I'm only going to review creepypastas and not any Chilling Tales for Dark Nights or anything else that he reads that's not creepypasta related. Other than that, let's get started. Alright, for the first story I'm going to read out is Follow the Leader, which is a picture pasta and, in my opinion, probably one of the only good ones. I mean, I've seen a lot of picture pastas and they all kind of revolve around the same problem. A, the picture is not really that interesting, and B, they really don't write a story as much just tell a really short, basic story and just allow the picture to speak for itself when it really does not. That's not the case with this story. In fact, what I like is this is one of the original images that Victor Surge uploaded to something off of forums, and it actually tells a story of what the photo is. In this case, it's about a kid who is playing Follow the Leader with his friends, and his friends basically lead him to Slender Man. And it's only about 4 minutes long to read, but it keeps everything kind of interesting up until the end and cleverly describes the photograph. Alright, the next story is Tags, and this one I kind of like because basically it plays out with a man who hears his dog's tags jingling at night, and it's kept him all night, and his dog's behavior is acting out of turn, and it all comes full circle at the end when he's sitting in bed and he asks his wife to please next time remove the dog's tags because he can't sleep at night, and she ultimately says, I've been doing that ever since we got the dog, and then he comes to the conclusion that whatever's in his room right now is not his dog. And it kind of ends on that note with a complete mystery of what the creature is. And yeah, I like this one too. It keeps you hooked, and I like the mystery they leave, and it's however they hint enough about the creature that's in his room that it keeps it interesting and is not just labeled as them. All right, the next one is called Pillars, and again, another good one. What I really like about this one is set in ancient Greece with the Spartans, and again, that's a pretty original setting. Most take place during modern day. And with this one, it basically describes a story of a Spartan who watches his own comrades get turned into statues. And I will be honest, I don't really completely understand the whole something about him also being the demon and some sort of symbolism about looking at the shadow of the demon. I don't quite understand. Maybe I need to read more into it, or maybe it's really not clear. However, I still enjoy it. I mean, and how it's paced out with everyone turning into statues actually is a pretty creepy build-up. And again, I don't really understand the ultimate conclusion he comes to, but I don't know. I still like it. It's still well paced, and probably there's something I'm missing. All right, the next story is The Woman in the Oven. Again, another really good one. I really like this one. Well, not really like it. I think it's a good one. it would probably turn out as just another average mutilation pasta. Well, mutilation's not really the right word, but well, let me just describe it. Basically, what happens is a woman was found cooked alive inside her oven. The police get a VHS, find a VHS tape in a well. They look at the tape, and in it, you see a woman speaking. However, the VHS tape has no audio, so they don't know what she's saying. She climbs in the oven, turns it on, and then you see black smoke emitting from the oven. On the surface, this just looks like some crazed woman, not really much depth. However, they bring up three twists at the end. A, they don't know where the camera is. B, they don't know who left the VHS tape in the well. And three is the most important, why the fact that the woman in the VHS tape does not match the height and size of the woman they found inside the oven. And again, that's still kind of leaving it maybe a little too open, but I do like that that one twist throws everything around, and then you could come up with infinite amounts of other possibilities. And I find it a little too broad. I like when pastas in general have a balance between leaving enough answered and enough to the imagination. That way people can make intelligent speculations and arguments. And I feel like this one's only a little broader, not as much answer, but I still like it, and I still kind of like that one twist at the end. All right, so this pasta is Gateway of the Mind, and anyone who's a creepypasta fan or probably knows about the classics, you'll know that this is one of the classics, and there's probably already been enough said about it, but I'll just throw my 2 cents quickly. I really like this one. I like how it plays with the idea of what if we are in the dark our whole lives? What if our senses cloud reality, and if we can cut off our senses, can we perceive God, infinity, and other things beyond of what we know? And that's kind of a creepy idea, and again, it's kind of your typical don't mess with nature as the man goes crazy, and the whole time they're trying to see if they can make contact with God, and after getting contact with God, they realize that he has abandoned us. Kind of that typical idea, but still enough. The story itself is very creepy, very kind of upsetting, and very just interesting altogether. Again, you could go into a lot of theology and philosophy into this one, but I think that's about all I got to say about it. All right, we've come to the last pasta for today, and that's Symmetry. And this one I think a lot of people like. It had a lot of, I think, good reception, a lot of good comments. I think this one sucks. Mainly because this is basically a very, Death the Kid from Soul Eater like story where basically this guy who's completely OCD about symmetry, you can kind of see where this is going, has 2 different colored eyes, and you see throughout the story how he has this obsessive compulsion to make everything in his house and in his life symmetrical. And I could not take this one seriously. I cracked up laughing when I heard this one because apparently this guy is so OCD, so obsessed about symmetry, and he is so annoyed by the fact that his eyes are slightly different colors. So his logical conclusion is to puncture out his own eye, the yellow-colored one, I think. I don't remember. And he didn't think in advance that, oh, wait, if I puncture out one eye, then I won't be symmetrical because I'll have one eye on one side and none on the other. And how? This guy is completely obsessed with symmetry. And really, he couldn't, before contemplating puncturing out his own eye, he didn't think in advance, gee, I'll have one eye on one side and a blank spot on the other. And then when he figures this out, his next logical conclusion is to puncture out his own eye, but then forgets that he won't be able to see what he's doing when he's doing it. So he ends up screwing up pretty badly and has to even painfully rip out his other eye. And then he has, his insanity moment where he's so happy that his 2 eyes are gone and now he doesn't have to see the imperfect world he lives in. I don't know. I just could not take this one seriously, and I feel like it just used a lot of cheap gore and disturbing mutilation to replace for actual interesting storytelling. I don't know. Maybe mutilation really is something a lot of people enjoy. I'm sure it is. It's just I want a little bit more intelligence in the story, not just disgusting imagery. Anyway, that's all I got for this week. I'll be showing 6 more next week, and I'll see you next time.